Steel City Stitchers, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some ideas on how to finish your beautiful projects. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down below, and that way you won't miss any videos in the future. So I want to start this video by saying that I am not a seamstress. I do own 2 sewing machines, however both of them are jammed and I have no idea how to fix them, nor do I have any desire to fix them because sewing is not my thing. So all of the finishes that I'm going to show you today do not require any special equipment. They don't require a sewing machine. I don't finish things in hoops because I don't know how to sew the felt on the back. So everything today is going to be super simple. In fact, the number one thing that I use is a glue gun. So if you have a glue gun, you're in good shape. If you don't, you can pick one up at your craft store for very, very cheap. So first thing I wanted to show you guys is one of my Christmas finishes that I did. So this is my Christmas Noel wreath. And as you can see, I finished it on a stocking. So I'm just gonna kind of run through with you guys how I did this and sort of the steps on how to achieve this look. So here's obviously my finished stitched pattern, and I'm going to hold that up so you can kind of see it a little closer. And as you can see, the pattern does have a wreath around it. So what I wanted to do was kind of copy that look in my finish. So I actually picked up this stocking at Joann's, and it was on the freebie table. I don't know if you guys know about the freebie table. And I'm not sure if every Joann's does it or how often they do it, but I personally didn't even know about it until one of my fellow Steel City Stitcher girls told me about it. So off I went to Joann's and I made a purchase, and right after my purchase they said go ahead and pick something from the freebie table. So this was on there, so it was actually free, which is awesome. However, any stocking would do, obviously, for this project. So basically all I did was when I finished my stitching, I cut it out in a circle, and I cut it out as close to the end of my stitching as possible. So as you can see there, I'm about 1 or 2 Aida squares away from my stitching. My biggest thing was that I just wanted to make sure I didn't cut into my actual stitching so it didn't unravel. But I had to get as close as possible to get it to fit on my stocking. Now, one of the ideas that I had for this was to finish it with a ribbon around it. I thought, great idea, I'm gonna grab some cute red ribbon and I'm gonna wrap it in ribbon. And the more I thought about the logistics of that, I realized that because it's round, I would have to bunch and, crinkle my ribbon to get it to sit in a flat circle. I would have made a mess of it. So what I did was I kind of went through my stash of stuff, and this is one tip that I give to everybody. So whenever I'm in the craft store, and as cross stitchers, we're in the craft store quite often, as you know, I always go to the off-season section. So whatever season it's not, they usually have that kind of stuff on sale. So I happened to be at the craft store a few months after Christmas, and I came across these fake leaves. I had no idea what I was going to do with them, but they were 70% off, so I bought them. And one thing that I tell people all the time is look in the sale section, look in the off-season section, and whatever you find there that you think might be useful for something, buy it, because having a stockpile of stuff that you've collected, over the months is very helpful when it comes to finishing projects. You just never know when you're gonna need something, and if you have it, that's awesome. So basically all I did was I took my scissors and I just cut this plastic stem off, and I was left with a whole bunch of leaves. So I actually had 2 different colors. I had kind of a lighter one and a darker one for the contrast. And I just glue gunned my leaves around my project to hide my jagged edges. Like I said, I'm not a quilter. I don't have equipment or fancy knives or slicers to kind of cut things. And so I just used a basic pair of fabric scissors. Cut it, it was all jagged, it looked like a mess. And I just used these leaves to cover up my mess. And as you can see, it kind of gave it a 3D look, and it hangs over the edge on the back a little bit, which I kind of like. And there you have it. And now I have a finish, and it's gonna hang on my mantle at Christmas time. And I love it. So just a fun idea to finish something round. I know that that's sometimes a challenge for me. And a lot of times, you know, sometimes people have finishes and they're not sure how to actually FFO them or fully finish them, and then they just kind of sit in a drawer or in storage under the bed. And so that's really what I'm trying to save here is you know, avoiding storing our hard worked on projects, because as you know, we work very hard on these things, and so to be able to finish it like this with something so simple is very satisfying. So there is my Christmas stocking. All right, a couple other ideas that I'm going to share with you guys. These ideas all come from sort of the same section in the craft store. So whenever I am at the craft store, I always go to the wood section. So this is the section where they have wooden plaques, things like this. A lot of times we'll have different embellishments that you can use. And again, I always either use a coupon, get them on sale. Whenever I can find these types of things, I buy them, because I never know when I'm gonna have a finish that I could finish on one of these, you know, wooden plaques. All too often, and I've been guilty of this too, I have a finish and I just throw it into a picture frame. And to me, you know, that'll do, because it is a way to display our work. But if you can finish something and make it just a little bit more special, that's really kind of what I'm looking for here. So again, in the wood aisle, if you find any, and these come in all different shapes and sizes. So, you know, they come finished, some of them come painted. It really just depends on your craft store. But again, whenever you go to the craft store, stop in that aisle, because everything else that I'm going to show you today is from that section. So, all right, so the first one is, now this is just a portrait that I stitched of my little family. And as you can see, the portrait's tiny. It's not even as big as my hand. So this really went from a tiny little finished piece to really a substantial size piece of art that I can hang on my wall. So this is just a wooden plaque, just like the one I showed you. I actually stained this one. So instead of painting it, I just took some stain to it. And it did come with these metal strips on it. So I didn't have to embellish it with that, but I did stain around it. I just taped the metal so that I wouldn't get the stain on the metal. And I stained to get this kind of darker color. I did wrap my project in sticky board. If you don't know what sticky board is, you can usually find it in the framing section of your craft store. A lot of framers use it for mounting, but basically it's just a piece of cardboard, one adhesive side. And the nice thing about it is that you don't have to be a professional cutter. Like I said, I am not. So what I did do though was I took my sticky board, cut it into a perfect rectangle with a ruler, and then I just wrapped my fabric around it so I got these nice sharp edges. Then all I did was I just hot glue gunned it right onto my board, and then I found this embellishment at my craft store in the wood section as well, and I just hot glue gunned that on there too. So super simple. Again, sticky board, the wooden plaque, and the embellishment. And now I have a piece of art that I can hang on my wall just from a tiny little piece that I did, that I whipped up real quick. And now it's, you know, something that's substantial that I can hang up. So that's another finishing idea for you. Along the same lines, and again, in the same section of the craft store, and this finish, this is one of my favorites. So this finish, this is just some sound waves that I stitched of my kids. But this layered look is seriously, it doesn't get better than this. And it's the easiest thing in the world. So basically, at the craft store, I grabbed this piece of corrugated metal, and it came with this rope on it. So I imagine this was to be used for some kind of sign of some sort. And then I found this piece of wood. This is like a piece of thin plywood. And I stuck these little rings through it. So instead of hot glue gunning it, because I wasn't sure how the glue would stick to the metal, I just spiraled some metal around the corners. And then as you can see, I actually stitched this piece on a pre-framed piece of Aida. Again, you can find it at your craft store. They usually come in packs of 3. I've only seen white, but I have seen other projects done on black. I have not seen any other colors, although I would assume that you could probably dye this if you wanted to. But as you can see, it's kind of 3-dimensional. So it's an 8x8 piece of Aida, and it's pre-framed on this wooden frame. So I didn't have to do anything to it. I didn't even have to use a Q-snap or hoop, obviously, because it was already framed in this piece of wood. So I stitched my piece on there, and then I literally just hot glue gunned it onto this piece of wood, which was already mounted onto this piece of metal. So I've got this cool layered look, and it hangs on my wall. And again, something that's an 8x8 piece has now turned into a substantial piece of art that I can hang on my wall. So just super, super simple stuff, guys, that anybody could do. Just with a glue gun and some layering. So, you know, at the craft store, again, you know, in that wooden aisle, a lot of times you'll find, like you saw my family embellishment, that's actually metal, but they oftentimes have wooden ones. You know, here's one that I had found that I just kind of had in my stockpile. It's spray painted. I think it came spray painted or it came silver. So, you know, if you had a plaque like this, painted, stick your embellishment on the bottom and sticky board frame your piece on the top, and that's it. So simple. So just all different kinds of things that you can do from that one aisle. The last thing I'm going to show you is something that I've seen kind of becoming more and more popular. I love this idea because I love the idea of stitching seasonal things. So, you know, if you want to stitch, for example, the Noel pattern, or if you want to stitch a Happy Easter pattern, or, you know, whatever the case may be, seasonal, holiday patterns, you know, a lot of us do Christmas patterns, things like that. This idea is such an easy, cool way to display your items without having to fully finish every single one. These are very easy to find. So basically all it is it's a wooden clipboard, and I don't have anything stitched on here obviously, but I just kind of have it in here as an example. So these wooden clipboards, this one it was probably under $1. It's super thin. It actually came with a dowel stick to stick in it, so if you wanted to set it on a table you could, or you could hang it on a wall. But basically the idea here is you could paint this wood a neutral color, and then every season you just switch out your pattern. So if this was a Christmas pattern, I'd have it in here for Christmas, and then come Easter, I'd take it out, and then I'd stick my Easter pattern in there. I mean, how cool is that? So simple, and while it's displayed, it looks completely like a finished object because it is done, it is on a piece of wood, which kind of frames your project. So these are really becoming a favorite of mine. You can get all different shapes and sizes, and all you need to do with your finished project, this one obviously isn't on anything, but if you put it on sticky board, you have then, you know, very sturdy items to kind of clip in and clip out of your clipboard. The other thing that you could do with your sticky board when you're framing your stuff on, when you're mounting your stuff on that, is you could put a very simple piece of batting in between, and then it kind of gives it that 3D look too. So another cool idea, and this would certainly hold something like that. I mean, it opens very wide, and just something so simple that becomes a nice finish for your home. So those are the ideas that I had for you today, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, again, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button below. And then also, if you head over to the description box and sign up for the newsletter, you will receive a free ebook with 5 free patterns in it. How cool is that? So go ahead and head over there now, sign up for the ebook, and I hope everybody is staying home and staying safe in this crazy time that we are going through. Hopefully everyone's finding a bunch of time to stitch, and again, stay safe. Thanks again. We'll see you later.